President Joe Biden, with the stroke of a pen on Friday, instantly changed the trajectory of untold numbers of lives. The president issued additional pardons for individuals convicted on federal charges of simple marijuana possession, including on federal lands, building on a proclamation he issued last year for thousands of people convicted of possession under federal law. The White House emphasized the overwhelming racial disparities of marijuana arrests that disproportionately target people of color. According to FBI data, more than 208,000 people were arrested for marijuana possession in 2022 alone. But the vast majority of those arrested are on state charges, which are ineligible for federal pardons. And the president urged governors across the country to follow his lead. It's vital to remember that the effects of arrests and incarcerations are never limited to the individual behind bars. They sentence entire families and poison the prosperity of entire communities, most egregiously for communities of color. Joining me now to discuss the impact of this proclamation, Susan Del Percio is a Republican strategist and MSNBC political analyst, and Amisha Cross is a Democratic strategist and former Obama campaign advisor. Welcome to you both. Amisha, it isn't immediately clear how many people will be affected by these additional pardons, but can you speak to us about the potential impact on the broadest level?
So this is huge. And as someone who used to work in criminal justice reform, many of the cases that came across my desk, the individuals that I was advocating for, were people who had been arrested and had literally lost their lives due to simple marijuana charges. We're talking some people who had been in jails and in prisons as early as 15 years old on and up into their 30s and 40s. Even though Biden's move only affects those with federal charges, I think that it sends a message to the states, acknowledging that now over 20 plus states have legalized marijuana and more are up and coming to do the same thing. It matters that we reduce the sentencing, especially because those of which who have been burdened the most are Black and brown people, the Black community specifically. The overwhelming majority of those in jails and prisons across this country on marijuana charges are Black people. We're looking at numbers upwards of 75, 80% in many cases. That matters. This is a criminal justice issue. This is a civil rights issue. And I think that for a president who for a very long time talked about marijuana as a gateway drug, this is a huge move forward in understanding not only the inefficiencies that have been in the system that have created such disparities among sentencing, but also that we are light years ahead of what we thought marijuana was 30, 40, 50 years ago. And today, every state is looking towards ways to not only make money off of marijuana use, but also to ensure that many individuals who before have been sentenced for marijuana possession are finding ways to alleviate those sentences. And I think that the federal government can lead the way there.
Susan, let's follow up on that because, as Amisha just pointed out, attitudes towards marijuana have relaxed on both sides of the aisles over the years. And now you have the spectacle of some states legalizing recreational marijuana, and other states people are going to prison for it. Do you think governors across the political spectrum will heed Biden's call to pardon state convictions of simple possession charges?
They probably will in states like New York, California, but then I think you see someone like Ron DeSantis who would never do it. And it's such a good point that Amisha makes it for Joe Biden, who's someone, and it is a generational thing, about thinking of marijuana as a gateway drug. It is not considered that any longer. So again, it was a big breakthrough for Joe Biden, and I think it sends the right message. Let's face it, most of the pardons we see at the state level are in fact on small marijuana cases. So I think it's a good move and it works politically well.